Today, let's see how physically fit we are. There are many standards for them, but then let us remember if we fail in some of these tests, we are not to be blamed. First of all, we did not know these standards. Second, we did not try to achieve them. For example, in BMI, I am falling or I am failing. And in waist measurement, I have more waist measurement than what it should be. There could be reasons, but what I mean is we may not be able to have all the standard physical fitness tests passed. But that does not mean that we need to find fault with ourselves. We will understand them, we will correct them, and we will go forward correcting ourselves. Now, take your journal or your computer page or a diary and start noting down. The first one to be followed is BMI, body mass index. Body mass index is your weight in kg divided by height in meters square, or weight in kg divided by height in meters into height in meters. Suppose your weight is 75 kg and your height 1.64 meters or 5 foot 4 inches about. Your BMI becomes 75 divided by 1.64 into 1.64, which is around 28. So you see, your standard BMI should be 24 or less. In this case, your BMI being 28, you are overweight. Suppose your BMI goes beyond 30, you are obese, which is very harmful. So now we understand that. So if our BMI is about 24, we need to reduce our food, or we need to practice diet and exercise more. But of course, there are certain, let's say, genetic conditions by which our body frame is becoming stout and we have a belly even by genetics. But these are not alibis for us not to keep, the particular standard. The second one is, we have got 3 ages: chronological, physiological, and mental ages. Our mental age, yesterday I mentioned it, it is already in the net how to calculate your mental age and your physiological age. So going into the net and undergoing all those tests there, they will tell you what is your mental age, and they will also mention when you do the physiological test, what is your physiological age. Your physiological age and your mental age should be either equal to or less than your chronological age. If, for example, your mental age and physiological age is equal to your chronological age, let's say you are 60 and all the 3 ages are 60, you are average. But if your mental age is, let's say, 25 and your physiological age is, say, 3 or 4 less than your chronological age, that means you are, let's say, 4 years less than your chronological age, you are fit. So in this particular criteria, suppose your physiological and mental age is exceeding your chronological age, you need to, let's say, do a lot of exercises as mentioned in the factors in the various tests. In the mental age test, there are so many factors which they are asking you. How interested you are, in going abroad, in traveling, how you keep your romance, how interested you are in the community, whether you do, let's say, community service, are you interested in traveling, are you interested in getting yourself dressed, how you cope up with your emotions, how loving you are to your family. There are so many such simple, silly questions which, we can go through and correct ourselves. In physiological age questionnaire, we find what you eat. You have to eat less of red meat, less of protein, high content protein food. You need to eat less of salt, less of sugar. We need to have more fruits, vegetables. We need to sleep 7 to 8 hours. We need to see that our emotions are under control. We are not having a lot of, let's say, excess emotions in anything. We are having an attitude of gratitude, and we have a good family life. There are so many factors which comprise in the physiological test. Maybe you have to see that you are not getting many of the diseases. Maybe there are some genetic diseases or propensities which also can be controlled. So, by knowing these factors which contribute to your physiological age, of course there are diseases and medications which you take. You need to control your alcohol. All these things are possible. Now that we know them, these are the factors. When you go through the physiological test factors in the net, you will be able to control yourself. You cannot smoke. Let's say you cannot take drugs. You cannot take too much drinks. There are so many things which are mentioned down there. And why we are discussing this is not that we are perfect in anything. None of us are. But we can try. And the third, let's say, factor for being fit is your endurance test. If you climb 4 stairs of a building, 4-story, around 80 steps without stopping at a normally above speed, and if you reach the top without panting, you are physically fit. If you pant or if you are finding it difficult to smoke, breathe normally, you are not physically fit. Or suppose you are doing an exercise and your normal heartbeat, let us assume to be 72 beats per minute. If you are able to raise this heartbeat to 90 beats per minute, and then if you can endure doing the exercise to keep the heartbeat at 90 beats per minute, you're fit. If not, that means you need to reduce your weight and you need to do more exercise. So endurance limit or endurance test is very useful for us. And then the next one is your waist measurement and your fat muscle ratio. Your waist measurement normally, the standard gives us something like it cannot go beyond 35 for men and 32 for women. But nowadays, for shorter people in Kerala or India, we are all more shorter. So shorter people, the waist measurement should not be more than half of the height in inches. Suppose you are 5 foot 6 inches, that means you are 66 inches. So your waistline can be 33 inches. If you are 5 foot, that is 60 inches, your waistline cannot be more than 30. So by understanding this, and we can measure our waist by a tape and see how much it is. If it is more than the prescribed standard, we should definitely try to bring it down. There are so many exercises to reduce the belly. And then there is another test, the fat muscle ratio. You see, by passing a small current through our body, we will be, it offers resistance for the current, and fat and muscle offers different resistances. By measuring the total resistance, we will be able to understand how much fat you have, how much muscle you have. The normal ratio of fat to muscle should not be more than 25. And normally fat gets accumulated at your buttocks, at your abdomen, above the arms, upper arms, your thighs, face, chest. So once you find that, let's say fat is hanging down on the upper arms and your chest, and the abdomen is also very much big, that means you are having more fat than required. So maybe you have to do some weight, training or weight exercises. You need to do a lot of more exercises than required to make or bring in more muscle into your body. And the next one is, let's say, the agility test. You stand on one leg raised 6 inches above ground, and how much you can stand. See, by standards, an 80-year-old person should stand on one leg, as I said, at least for 20 seconds. A 70-year-old for 30 seconds. A 60-year-old 40 seconds. A 50-year-old 50 seconds. And a 40-year-old should be able to stand on one leg with the other leg raised for 1 minute. If you are not able to do that, naturally you are not physically fit. And another test is, you throw a rubber ball with your left hand 2 meters high, held 2 meters high. Let it fall down and bounce. It will bounce up. As it bounces up, you catch. The height from the ground at which you are able to catch it, that is a test of agility. If you are able to catch very near to the ground, That means you're more agile. And you know the reading test. If you are bringing a card towards your eye by holding a scale or ruler, something like that, and then if you are able to read only at a certain distance, that's also an indication of your age and your fitness. So now we have discussed the fitness standards. So what we can do is, all of us will have problems, all of us may fail in some of them. So what we can do is understand each, let's say, test parameters for our physical body and try to see that they are brought into the standard levels. Thank you.